Hello and welcome to another video from fantasyfootballscout.co.uk. Today I'm joined by David to look at the best captaincy options for game week 25. David, welcome, how are you?
I'm doing okay. Yeah, like most people, bit of an average to poor game week. A captain blank, second of the season. But I know that happened to a lot of people because it was Mo Salah. So and now we've got a few days to prepare for game week 25. So that's nice that we can fix things so quickly. But it is a double game week that I'm not too fond of because we've got some tough decisions to make.
We have, and first of all, and this is what this video is going to address, is the captaincy, and people should be aware that we have a Scoutcast being recorded this week as well. Do look out for that, and of course I'll be chatting to Neil later in the week about the latest team news, so keep an eye on that. And also, in addition, we have a breakfast club as well on Saturday morning, so lots and lots of videos and lots of information about the double game week. So let's start off with the captaincy. So with two fixtures each, Manchester City and Everton assets could potentially provide some popular captaincy options. So let's start with Man City. They play at home to Arsenal and then Everton away. For you, which of their assets appeals the most?
Well, it's a tough one because a lot of them don't appeal to me at this point. If it was a single game week, they were just playing Arsenal. There's absolutely no way that I'd be going anywhere near them, I think. I mean, Sané for me is who I have currently the captain on when I set my team the other night. And that's just simply because he seems like the most sure of a start and has largely been consistent as well. So, he was top of expected assists for the league going into game week 24. He's rested the other night, or I say rested, but, taken off with like 20 minutes to go, which to me suggests that he's going to be fit and ready to probably play in both. But, the performance against Newcastle wasn't great. And so then for me, something's got to improve for these Man City options between now and that double game week, which obviously I'm not going to be able to quantify. It does feel a bit risky, even though they're going to play twice, because I think both games could actually be quite challenging.
Yes.
But effectively, I think when it comes to assessing these City options, it's annoying that we have to go on who we think is most likely to start. And because I think really that underpins who the best option is, whether or not we think that they are the player that individually offers the best value in a single match, if that makes sense. So it's a tricky conundrum.
It is, and of course in game week 26 comes hot on the heels of that as well. So you've got
Chelsea big game
against Chelsea, so that's a big game. You would expect the big guns for that. So that could indicate there could be some rotation for that Everton match. So instead of, say, for example, Aguero, Jesus could get the nod there. Perhaps one of Sané or Sterling may make way for Mahrez. But that's trying to second guess Pep, which is difficult. All of the above could feature there. I did just a little bit of research on just a quick one on goal attempts amongst Man City assets over the last 4 game weeks. So I did a minimum of 5 shots for that. Aguero's top, and he's got 2 goals and assists and 9 attempts there. For me, on paper, he's technically, I think, the best captaincy option there. But of course, we can see Sané there, 7 goal attempts, not bad for a winger, and 2 goals and 2 assists. So he's actually registering the most points, the most tangible returns there. And Sterling's quite low down actually, 5 goal attempts there. And and 1 goal and 1 assist. So he's ticking along nicely. Here's a couple of names though. Now don't laugh, Fernandinho. He's going to play. He's actually had 7 goal attempts, so no goals and assists. You would expect that from a player who's not a striker or a traditional creative assister. But he does occasionally get hauls, and I just think this is the kind of double game week where if someone was going to take a risky punt, I think he could be an interesting player to have, and possibly even captain, because these types of double game weeks, unusual things happen. I remember a couple of years ago, we had a double game week against Stoke. It was Man City and Stoke had the double game week. And it wasn't Man City assets who were the best options. It was actually the Stoke assets that were the best options. No one gets it. So I'm putting that out there now just in case Fernandinho does do well. Just another piece of research I did, because I have Sané. He's currently my captain for this double game week. And I was considering Sterling as well. And I may well do. But Sterling and Sané have played 12 games together in the league this season where they have both been on the pitch for 60 minutes or more. Of those, Sané has outscored Sterling on 6 occasions. Sterling has outscored Sané on just 3 occasions. and they've had exactly the same returns on the remaining 3. So Sterling last outscored Sane in the games where they both played with significant minutes in game week 14. So for those out there who've got Sane and Sterling, I think that's yourself as well.
Yeah, that's me, yeah.
My personal view is that Sane is the better option because he has outscored Sterling more frequently and more recently. So
I felt that for a long time, actually. I mean, that's why when I had to bring in a City midfielder, that's why I went for Sané. And that was ages ago, and I haven't really looked back, to be honest. I think he's as you've just proven there, he is the better option if you have to choose between the two of them.
So if people don't fancy an Everton option, a Man City option, an Everton option could be a good place for the captaincy. They play twice. They're much more likely, their assets, to play twice as well. So they've got that City game, but they also face Wolves at home. So that could potentially be okay because Wolves have been shipping some goals of late. And traditionally, as I said, the kind of lesser teams in a double game week tend to surprise us. So looking at Everton, which of any of their assets do you think could be captainable?
Yeah, it's a tough one. Obviously, we weren't looking at Digne anyway, but obviously he's got himself sent off, so we're only playing one of the games. So at the very least, in the first match, they're not going to be necessarily at the same attacking level, because I think most people will say that Digne has been one of their better attacking players this year. In terms of, I think I still think it's a tough one, because I think really probably the best option if you're going to captain an Everton player playing twice, probably Richarlison, but I don't really want to do that because I don't really trust him. I mean, obviously he's gone and punished his sellers by scoring at Huddersfield. His shot count is still pretty high. His accuracy is still pretty low. So he is going to have plenty of opportunities. I mean, Wolves, for example, are sort of kind of mid-table, lower mid-table for goal attempts conceded in the box last 4. It's 33. So Wolves will give up some chances, I would expect. They haven't been keeping clean sheets too often. That West Ham one was the first one in a very long time for them. And then for the Man City game, I mean, I do actually expect Everton to score in that. I don't trust this Man City defence as far as I can throw it, because they hardly ever give up any chances, and yet they're still conceding. Newcastle were just yet another team in a long line of teams who've basically scored with their first attempt on goal of the game. So it's entirely plausible to me that Everton can do that at Goodison Park, because they could have scored 3 goals when they were away at Man City a couple of game weeks ago, or a couple of months ago. Sorry, Richarlison very much at the centre of that. Like he could have had a brace in that game if he'd just been a bit more on target. Yes, I know he's not exactly showing his shooting boots right now in terms of a decent level of accuracy, but as you say, he's almost certainly going to play both games. So if he gets maybe a goal and an assist, and then plays 2 games as well, maybe gets share a bonus, then actually that could actually translate into a nice little haul.
Yeah, I mean, he has that flexibility, so of course he can play up front. But in recent game weeks, Calvert-Lewin and Cenk Tosun have been playing in that role, Richarlison on the wing. So that flexibility of playing in both of those positions does help him a lot. I'm just going to give a quick plug to my goals imminent table. So last week, it was game week 24, unprecedented success. It predicted returns for Richarlison, Mitrovic, Aubameyang, Ashley Barnes, and even Rondon. So I was very pleased with that as well. So I'm going to put the goals imminent table up, the latest one, up now. And there's 2 names on there, Sigurdsson and Richarlison there. In fact, they're second and third. Now we can see why Richarlison is quite good, but not that good in terms of his shots on target. Just 2. So he's had 10 shots in the box, which is great, and 11 attempts over his last 4 game weeks, but just 2 on target. Now Sigurdsson is an intriguing option, I think. So he's had 11 shots as well, only 5 inside the box, but 4 have been on target as well. So I'm personally, if I'm going to be getting another midfielder in, because of my concerns around various starts from Man City players, I'm actually looking at Sigurdsson. And I think when it comes down to it, the guy who's on a lot of set pieces could do well. And as you said, Man City defence is not great. I mean, it looks on paper great, it should be great, but it's just not. They're just conceding. And if we look at... I don't know. I think Sigurdsson or Richarlison, I think, are okay options. Not great options, but they're okay options. And
they're definitely worth considering.
And I personally just slightly favour Sigurdsson at the moment.
Yeah. Well, he's more your type of player, isn't he? So I definitely get that. But the other thing is, I mean, obviously with this sort of, when we're considering captaincy for this week, obviously, you know, a lot of people are going to look at this in terms of who they already have available because, I mean, more people are going to have Richarlison than Sigurdsson. I think that's no doubt. But with Sigurdsson, people might be worrying about it being a 1 week thing because you're right, he does look a good option. But actually looking ahead at their schedule, obviously it's then Watford away in game 26, which actually defers quite nice. I'd fancy
that's quite good.
Some returns there. The blank obviously in 27 is frustrating, but at his price you can probably get away with benching him to then have him away at Cardiff in game week 28, where they're just terrible at defending set pieces. So actually getting Sigurdsson in is probably more than just a 1 week thing. So you know, maybe worth thinking
that's
about.
what I'm thinking. It keeps money in that slot there for potentially Son, because game week 27, we've discussed it before, it's basically Spurs and Arsenal with assets probably the best for the captaincy. So this video is for captaincy for game week 25, but slightly looking ahead to 27. So I'd be looking at players like Aubameyang and Son, and having Sigurdsson in there, and indeed a Man City midfielder, perhaps Bernardo Silva, if we thought that, you know, we might get some returns there. It keeps enough money in there so that you only need a bit more to upgrade to Son, which is quite good, rather than kind of completely downgrading that role as well. So that's another appeal as well. But now a lot of people are not keen on this double game week at all, because some of the pictures we've been putting up basically have shown that with Everton as well, Lucas Dean is out. With Man City, obviously they lost to Newcastle, so that's not great. It doesn't bode well. So what about some of the single game week options as well? Do you think any of these, I mean, should we just go for double game week or bust? Or could some of these single game week captain options beat the double game week scores?
I mean, I think this is really the crucial question of this game week when it comes to the captaincy is, you know, there's looking specifically at the best option, I think, outside of the double game week people, and that's no surprise, is Salah. I know obviously it was a disappointing result for Liverpool on Wednesday night, and no goal involvement for Salah at all. But, you know, it's away against West Ham, who, you know, I still don't really trust it. They look quite poor against Wolves, you know, and because Liverpool will obviously feel the pressure of not having won against Leicester when they would have gone into that game thinking they should win it. Man City obviously going to have the 2 games in a short space of time, so could conceivably trim the gap if Liverpool drop points. It kind of it smacks of a game that Liverpool can go there and just win 3-0. And that's not to say that West Ham will be a total rollover, but this just feels like the game that Liverpool could really make us, you know, just the result that they need. And Salah will obviously be involved in that. He obviously scored in his most recent league visit to the London Stadium, which was actually a while ago. It was about nearly 18 months ago. But you know, this is the decision people have got to make. They've got to look at Salah and they've got to look at the double game week options and make a call. And to be honest, I think it's going to be close. If Salah were to outscore, you know, Sané, Sterling, or Aguero, I'm not going to be hugely surprised. West Ham's defence, you know, still isn't great. It's sort of in the similar position to Wolves' defence. 32 shots conceded in the box, last 4. You know, clean sheets quite rare at home. Ironically, the only 2 games where they've done that are Chelsea and Arsenal, so maybe they can put up a good fight. But I do just see Liverpool going through them in this one.
Yeah, I think Firmino and Mane as well are also good options as well. Because basically the Liverpool attack in general.
Yeah,
I think are good. What do we think?
That's the thing. We know what it's capable of. This seems like the kind of game that they can win big.
Now the player I was just going to say the player I feared most that I don't own over the last few weeks has been Hazard, and each week I fear him less. And after Chelsea's capitulation to Bournemouth again in January, they got beaten last January and this January as well, very heavily by them. I'm not so worried, but you know, on paper, you know, if such paper exists, a home game against Huddersfield, Hazard looks good, but is it just game over for Hazard as a captaincy option from now on?
Yeah, I mean, okay. I want to say yes, but the thing is that at the back of my mind, I keep hearing every time that Hazard blanks, I'm thinking he's going to score next week. But the thing is that how long have we been saying that? That's the thing. Yeah, home against Huddersfield. I mean, that to me, ironically now feels like an unpredictable match, because Chelsea at home actually haven't been quite the team that we'd want them to be, and we've mentioned this lots of times this season that Hazard at home that's not like a a banker for points. And he's not scored at home in the league for ages. I think game week 7. Um, so yeah, I don't think so. And of course, just the other flip side of that is Huddersfield under their new manager, gave a good account of themselves against Everton. They didn't score, but they were going forward a lot. They've got this manager now, Jan Siewert, who's quite a fan of attacking football. So you never know. I mean, it just feels like this is the worst match for Chelsea to try and get back on the winning kind of run on, because there is just so much unknown about this new Huddersfield side that is operating, or is what we expect to operate slightly differently to how it did under David Wagner. So yeah, I wouldn't go near Hazard this week.
No, I'm just going to put one more name out there. This is for the ultra mavericks out there. Single game weaker. He's one of the best performing forwards in the game at the moment. Gone largely under the radar, but he didn't last night when he scored against Chelsea twice. It's Josh King. Now, he's had 3 goals in his last 4 game weeks. He's had 14 goal attempts, the same as Aubameyang, who's double his price, and he's had 5 big chances in total. That's just 2 less than Aubameyang as well. Now, he's got an away game against Cardiff. I think if you're an ultra maverick, absolutely detest double game weeks, Josh King is the ultimate differential captain this week, I think. But for now, David, thanks so much for joining me. I'll see you again for the Scoutcast as well, and of course Breakfast Club. In the meantime, good luck with the game week.
Cheers, and to you as well.